Hello, welcome to Charizard Industries. And I'm Kaffan. Uh, this is a mod spotlight for the Big Reactors mod. Uh, and I'm not going to go into details about every single thing in this mod, because it's kind of huge, even though it's just for the power distribution. So it's kind of useless mod unless you have other mods up to it, like Ender IO or Thermal. So let's start. A few of the base components you'll need is coal, smelted to graphite using any furnace. Then we have the gellerite that was smelt in any furnace for gellerite bars, but there's a better, way better way to do it, and it's with some mod items. If we have the sag mill and put it in the gellerite ore, we get pulverized dust, 2 of them, and we have a chance to get, I think it's about a 5% chance to get the cyanide dust, which we then can smelt in any furnace to get the bars. So it's twice the efficiency of a normal furnace or a redstone furnace, and we have a chance to get the cyanide ore, cyanide ingots. Then we have the pulverizer, which is exactly the same, but we don't have the cyanide. To start off, the most basic reactor you'll make is probably this one. It just contains the few components you're going to need. Well, this isn't working because that block. It's supposed to look like this. I'm sorry about that. I've been having this weird memory leaks. I'll have to sort that out. I've been trying some Java arguments, but it doesn't seem to help that much. So here we have the reactor controller, where we have every information about the reactor, like fuel reactivity, fuel burn up rate, how much fuel it's going to take per tick to get the energy output that we're getting, and the heat, which will increase quite significantly how much burn up you have. So sometimes it might be really good to use the reactor controller to control it, so it gets a little bit of control and lower the heat, and therefore you get less burn up. We also see how much fuel we have in it. So if we go in here and grab some yellorium, and we put it in the input slot, which also you can turn to be an output, but it's going to put the cyanide here anyway, since this is primarily the way to get the cyanide. Is to burn yellorium, and then you get cyanide. So it's going to put it here, but you can't pump out the cyanide from that. So you'll need to have another port set to output. Then you can draw via like Ender IO's item conducts. So we put that in, and we turn it on. Everything is going to start rising. If it goes above 1000 Celsius, we're going to see a drop here. So the first basic one produces 264 RF per tick, and uses a quite large amount of fuel, and it doesn't have a fuel reactivity, since there's only one core in it, and this is a much larger one. It's a one that I've put together, so it's not really super efficient. There's a few people who, with math, calculated the coolant, how the rods should be and stuff like that. But I think this one is kinda efficient. Goes up. And here we have some fuel reactivity. So the fuel rods reacting to each other. And when the temperature reached over 1000 Celsius, we got a drop. So if we put up here, does this change anything? It changed a bit. So if we put everyone at 10%, now we're under, but we didn't see such a great increase here in the fuel reactivity. But we're getting 3.4 kilo redstone flux per tick. So quite a lot more than this one, and it just uses about the double amount of fuel. So it's way more efficient in power. Yellorium isn't really that rare, so it's an efficient way of doing power. There is another one, another reactor you can do, which is this one, the turbine. But I'm not really so good with this one. I've never used it, but it's supposed to be way more efficient than the passively cooled reactor. So, but then it takes a lot more space to do the actively cooled reactor, and you need to have had one of these running for a good bit of time, since you're going to get waste material, and that's the cyanide. So we will check in here. We have had 2.8 depleted, and we have a waste of 100 millibuckets. So when that reaches 1000, then we get an ingot, and it's going to put it out here. And of course we can draw power from the power tap using any cable. There isn't any cables in this mod by itself, so you're going to need some other mod to support it, like thermal expansion. How is it puts out the power into the battery quite nicely. The most efficient way probably is Ender IO though, since we have the huge Ender energy conduit that can take 20,000 RF per tick, and these can generate a lot of power. So it's most definitely recommended to use. Otherwise it's just going to build up in here and we get waste and it starts losing. We can control that using redstone and this block here, which is an reactor rednet port. I've never used this though, but you can redstone control everything here, supposedly. So to make a reactor, you'll need these components, and this is optional. It's just like the reactor casing, but it's a glass instead, so you can see through it and see into your reactor, and we can see the reactor control, reactor rods, fuel rods in there. So the recipe is the graphite bars, reactor casing, redstone, and yellorium. So you're going to need quite a bit of yellorium to start the mod. And the rod, just iron, graphite, or yellorium. And the casing, a lot of graphite and iron and some yellorium, but you get 4 of them. And the reactor controller uses a diamond, and the other bits and pieces that we are used to. The access port uses an red chest for storage, and we have a piston for automation, and the casings. So we're going to need a lot of casings, and the power tap to get the power out. Also casings, and a lot more redstone, which is standard. So it's just 9 by 9. I'll make a quick one here. That one is supposed to be rod, and then the fuel rod. Casing here, controller, that one, and that one. And it changes. We could also change out some of the pieces. The 4 you actually just need is the control rod, the fuel rod, and the controller. I think, yes, you need the controller. And then it starts. So you could just run it to get the cyanide and make a passively actively cooled generator. And you can see here, this one is generating way more power than this one that have been active longer. I'm not so familiar with the actively cooled generators, the turbines, so I'm not going to go into them, but since this is not a tutorial, it's just a spotlight. So there is a turbine, and I think it has some animation on the turbine blades, which is cool. And yeah, that's probably it for this mod spotlight. I'm thinking next time I'm going to do a Ender IO spotlight, which I've prepared some over there. So this has been me signing, and this is me signing off. See you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.